What's up, y'all? I don't even know if people this live is so random and so unscheduled. I just know I need to start doing it though. I told myself I need to do at least one live a week. The Fridays is kind of rough though. I'm trying to figure out on the night scale because everybody's time frame on his own is so different. I'm on the east, so trying to figure out what dedicated day I'm gonna do, what the dedicated day is gonna be. But I'll start announcing that weekly when I do lives so that people will know ahead of time when they're scheduled and come through, whatever the case may have you. So that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm gonna give it a little bit before everybody slide through. I always give it like maybe 5-10 minutes. Give people time. Just talk it up, chat it up with y'all, man. What's up? What's up? What's up? Appreciate you for coming through. Like I said, this live is random, random. So people like, dang. I know people be asking me about it too, though. So that's why the other thing too, why I'm trying to figure out a dedicated time to do so, because people be asking me. So I need to start getting that together. And plus, I don't even really be knowing like the streaming concept just yet. I'm still learning that. That ain't a live video expand further. Okay, interesting. I didn't know that it expands that far. The video, sorry. Normally when I record, it's like a little bit closer, but I didn't know that. You know. But I today I need to shoot some more content for my members only. I got some actual frameworks on videos that I need to put up that I've been meaning to put up. I know there's people who's joined the channel, and I'm gonna be putting up some members only videos. I didn't even see that. Sorry, somebody said a chat. Uh, how do you find? Yeah, I appreciate that. You said, how do I find me? The first, the first thing you want to identify is how to find yourself is who are you outside of everything else? Like interests, hobbies, write that stuff down. A lot of times, it's so simple as to inventory yourself. What do you like? Who are you outside of everything? Outside of relationships, parenting, jobs, being a child to your parent, like outside of everything, who are you? When you figure that out, then you can start stacking up the bill from there. You know what I'm saying? You can start stacking up because a lot of times we as survivors we tie our identity into whatever trauma crisis that we dealing with. And then out when it's over, it's hard to figure out who we are because we putting so much into something that was never even real to begin with. So now we got to find the real self again. So you got to start asking yourself real questions. All right, my bicep, y'all. I hurt myself in the gym. But yeah, this you got to start asking yourself those real questions about what do you like and what you don't like. A lot of one thing that I've come to find out when I talk to people in my one-on-one calls, and especially just understanding myself, a lot of stuff that you may tend to like or think is your identity is just you've adopted it from somebody else, or you've adopted it dealing with, you know, being in survival mode. It might not even be you. A lot of these interests, like come find out, like for me, growing a lot of stuff I didn't even like that I didn't know I didn't like until I started realizing like, oh, I don't even like this. And the stuff that I do like is something completely different. But realizing I had only done these things because other people were around or the narcissists were around, adopting their traits and whatever the case may have you just to fit in. It's an emotional mechanism to want to fit in. and do what everybody else is doing. We as humans, so. But that's the you got to be okay. That's that you got to be okay with being yourself type ordeal. The narcissist, at least for me, taught me that, like, just be yourself. It's gonna be easier and or also more enjoyable in life just to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? Don't be you and be rude about it, but be you in the sake of you where you're aligned. It's about alignment at the end of the day, in my opinion. You want to be aligned with self, not in a way where somebody else told you to be like something that you're not. Pretending to be individuals just to get certain supplies so somebody else can validate you about having that. It's just not that deep. Just be you. It's just not that deep. And individuals who align with their people or who will respect the fact that you're you. You know. I hope what I'm saying helps. By the way, you know, this is a live video. This ain't like it's like a you know. But I always emphasize just never. I'm still hopeful. See, uh, life is life is rough, in the sense of how you gotta grow and how you take on these challenges because everybody's challenges is different. Everybody's circumstances is completely different. And even though we may arrive to the same kind of obstacles, we still got to cross this obstacle a bit different, but the same exact way than somebody else. So, like you said, this is the only person you've ever known. So it's a lot of finding yourself. Like for me, I had already had a sense of myself. I just had to connect back to that, but align with it. For you, because this is the only person you've ever known. Going off what you said, like it's gonna be hard to really figure out who you are as fast as you may want to. You may not want to do it as fast, to be honest with you. It's probably going to take a lot more time than what you may have intended it on being, because it's a reconstruction of building you from the bottom up. That's going to require a lot of work, and a lot of that work is going to be mucky and all over the place and not linear. But you got to go through that process in order to see who you really are and who you want to be. Sorry, that's probably a loud cough on this microphone. I apologize, but no, you're you're still creating an identity outside a relationship. See, the thing is, I tell people this, like, when you get in relationships, make sure you're a whole person. This is something that I believed in. I started to believe in as I get older. Well, there's these sayings, right? I know this is left, but just ride me for a second. There's these sayings in the world where people tend to say stuff that have like a connotation to it, where it's kind of like it doesn't support a lot. So, for instance, somebody say my other half, that's my better half. Like a half and a half makes zero, right? But if you're a whole person, your wholeness, and you create your wholeness of yourself, a whole person come together to make infinity. The problem with narcissists, they're not even the whole person. They're like just a fourth of that. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta compensate for all of that. So what I'm saying is that you gotta create your whole identity. You gotta create that whole entire thing, because you have no really enough to draw from to understand how to move forward just yet. So right now it's going to be a process of figuring out, what do you like, who are you, and how you want to move in this world. When we in a relationship, a lot of times we can be on autopilot because we're fulfilling a role, if you rather. And I'm not trying to say, like, don't be in a relationship and don't have a role. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying, like, the concept of, this is who we are in this relationship. We go to work. This is who we are in this work. We go here. This is who we are. Who are you without all of this? For me, I'm a choreographer. I'm a dancer. You know what I'm saying? I'm an artist. I'm a creative. You know what I'm saying? I'm a basketball player. I work out. Stuff like that. Like this stuff like that. Outside of things that is just me. Or even if I don't even have none of this stuff, I'm a creative, I'm a critical thinker. You know what I'm saying? I'm a forever learner, like things that are me outside of everything else, outside of other people. So it's finding that and finding those, it's really finding that pillar. What's your pillar in your life? And I was talking to somebody else on a call about this the other day. What I mean is like, what's your main pillar about you? What's your focus? For me, I'm a forever learner. So that's my main pillar. The branches of that is, let me learn about fitness. Let me learn about how to help people. Let me learn about coaching. Let me learn about, you know, this viewpoint and that viewpoint. Let me learn about how to make better choreography. Let me learn about how to write better. Let me learn about, let me learn about these things. But my pillar is for being a forever learner. You know, that's what I'm saying about what's your main pillar. You got to find that main pillar, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. I get to drink water on video. Like when I'm shooting videos, y'all, I be getting parched like a mug. That's why I'm like, somebody was like, why am I always lip biting? Because my lips get dry when I'm talking for that long. That's why I be like lip biting, trying to wet my lips, man. Straight up. Cause I be seeing people say that and I be like, cuz my mouth get dry, my lips get dry. It's funny. But your how you build yourself and how you gotta find those things and be solid about it. You got to be solid about you. You can't necessarily be too focused on the concept of what it looks like on somebody else. What does it look like on you for you? Everybody's journey on this rebuild is a bit different because everybody's circumstances are different. You may have to rebuild yourself being around a narcissist 24/7. You may not have to be around narcissists. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You start with asking yourself, what in this world do I like? Is uh, w- if I can go back to myself and tell myself this, quit overthinking healing, quit overthinking your journey. You already want to be better. You're already miles and steps ahead the moment you ask yourself, where do I go next? Like that simple thought. Like I didn't take I didn't take a lot of this stuff serious about just how your mind works and what you tell yourself. Because when you talk out loud, that's a spell. Like you're casting spells. You know what I'm saying? Like how you if I forgot where I read this at, but 90% of what you learn is what you say. The other 10% is what's taught to you. So how you talk and what you say is important. You feel what I'm saying? That's why I say it's always important on it's vital on how you see yourself and how you talk to yourself every single day. Because you're learning to teach yourself how to be. You've been learning how to be less than dealing with narcissists for however long that's in. You've been teaching yourself that. And we don't a lot of people don't even know that you teach yourself these concepts when you're talking. So when you're talking with that anxiety, you're teaching yourself that anxiety. Straight up. And like it's critical on what you say. It's going to know instantly power of the tongue. Yeah, 2000%. How you talk to yourself is vital. Like it's very simple things that we overlook because we want it to be complicated just as human beings because we think it has to be complicated, but it's really not. We overthink it as survivors because we've been dealing with complicated chaos for so long that we can't simplify peace. That's the thing that like that's the recalibration. That's the shift. We've complicated dealing with chaos for so long that we can't simplify the peace, and it's quite simple on so many levels. That's why it's important to separate yourself from these environments if you can, and or isolate yourself as much as you can from the narcissist if you got to be around them when you're rebuilding your mind because again, you overthink it a lot. Overthink it. You just got to start and go somewhere and go see because a lot of this is just experiment. Your healing journey is an experimentation anyway. You know, I can give you a direction or somebody can give you a direction. You still got to experiment and see if that direction is even right for you or for you to formulate your own direction. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really a lot of what this is. You got to create that. One thing that I've realized, again, your healing is not a destination. It's a lifestyle. You're always experimenting. I'm always experimenting. I might want to read a different book, a different audio book than another audio book, or I might want to, try this different workout routine than this other workout routine, or I might want to try to like it's always an experimentation on what is going to fulfill your mind with that confirmation that you've done something for self, so that you can confirm with self that you're putting into that positivity into you. It's important to give yourself that understanding that you're capable of doing something, telling yourself to do it without somebody pushing you or whatever. But sometimes you might need accountability. I got it. You know what I'm saying? We all do. Everybody's not perfect. I got it. But it's just you still have that understanding, that confrontation of self validation because you decided to, not because somebody else told you to. All right. A lot of stuff in life, this is a bit with pieces of inside job. God, talk to God every day. No facts. No facts. It's your piece is not a it's not a you ever watch the NBA championship, they got the float and all that, and everybody start you go down the street and everybody chanting. It's not like that. It's not. Peace is literally an inside job. Straight up, it's quiet, and it's an experimentation on yourself because you got to figure out what brings you peace. You don't know yet. You have no idea. You can get a source of it, you can get an ideal of it until you actually put an actual effort to see and also feel and also absorb and also be aware enough on what you're doing. Then it's just kind of living on autopilot because you're just doing stuff for the intent of the destination, the dopamine. That's why I said about healing is not a destination, it's a lifestyle. You got to want and desire to want to do this kind of stuff every single day. You know, it's important that you don't stress yourself out about trying to find peace either, because again, it's simple. It's very simple. You just got to start doing something. And over time, it'll spill into other parts and areas of your life where you've been like, oh man, you know what? Like I said, me being my pillar was being a forever learner. My grandfather put it into my mind a long time ago. He told me, you never have a reason to ever stop learning. So why stop learning? You know what I'm saying? So that's been my pillar, was to always learn. So why not learn how to be an even better father? Why not learn how to be a better communicator? Why not learn how to be, why not? But that's me though. And that's something that I put into my mind for my own framework on how I progress upon my journey. So it's just telling people and just giving people some kind of direction so you can understand where to go. Getting away from me. Oh, wait. What I've been through. So with these situations like this, if I'm gonna be honest with you, don't don't stress the way that don't have too much anxiety. A lot of the anxiety is because you don't know, it's unknown. I got that, but it's also a step in your life where you have to understand what's happening as you move and progress. You learn from these situations. That's why I made that video about not being scared of the narcissist. Not being scared. You don't be scared of these situations. You just learn from them. They're only scary because you couldn't predict that somebody was going to be like this. You know, and you don't know how they're going to treat you while you chase the validation concept or whatever case may have you. But with this, the matter had already happened. The best method at this point is gray rock and understand that this is who they are, how they're going to be. You got to accept that. When you start accepting more about what it is versus what it's not, your mental resilience will build like a callus. Like you work out and your callus, you know what I'm saying? You'll build mental callus. And it won't, I hate to say it like this, it won't hurt so bad. Because when you first start doing it, it hurts. But over time, it don't hurt. You just get used to it. not to be off the chain like that, but it's also to understand your mental resilience. It's really what it is, to be honest with you, bro. It's just for real, for real. Being in the army taught me that you gotta be mental resilient. You gotta always adapt and overcome the best that you can with what you got. Hmm. You sure do. You gotta adapt and overcome with what you got the best you can. What you got. There's all of us survivors wanting to be a perfect way. I wish it was. I wish if it was a perfect way, trust me, I would tell you, but it's not. You've got to experiment. You got to experiment upon your journey, along your journey. You know, Ugh. I always ask myself whenever you get stuck in your journey, because we can get stuck in our journey too, though. Hmm. Yeah, you don't have the facts. Facts. Don't run through pain, or don't run away from pain. Don't run away from the pain. The pain is going to teach you how to rebuild. See, and this is something else that's so key that you just said. And just growing up in this world, it's again, there's a lot of systems at play and a lot of things at play to get you to think a certain way that is going to be harmful to you as you get older. You got to learn how to accept pain and learn from that. It's unavoidable. That's something that I've realized over through life. It's unavoidable. It has to happen. You know what I'm saying? For you to grow. When people try to go around it, the next time you hit it, it's gonna be even worse. Or you may teach that ideology to somebody else who's gonna make it worse for them. Like I always think about the domino effect whenever you don't learn from something that is trying to teach you something. Because the next time it comes around, it's gonna hit twice as harder. You know what I'm saying? At least that's been my like rule of thumb about a lot of just life and progressing and just going along this journey. I try to be as I possibly can when it comes to obstacles that I may have to deal with my mind, because I don't want to. And I guess, like I said at the beginning of my journey, you would be on autopilot, making choices on autopilot, not thinking straight. But these days, now that I'm here at this point, yeah, I'm thinking about every left and right step for sure, 2,000%. I don't need to be around things that may necessarily harm me, stunt my growth. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm just gonna choose not to. You know, yeah. Oops, sorry. I don't know if y'all can see when people chat. I don't know if y'all can see that or not, but because I remember somebody was like, "You reading it out loud, it should be popping up." I hope y'all can see that. If not, then I'll just read it out loud. But yeah, narcissists don't want to grow because they typically just find, again, giving less to get the best, and being able to sit somewhere while doing that. They're not trying to grow if they ain't got to. No. Mm-mm. That's why it hurts them when you do, because they take it as a direct insult that you're trying to say something without saying something. Right? That's why it's important to get around people that align with you, because the people who are aligned with themselves won't talk to you or treat you like that or be like that about these situations and these circumstances. You know, they just won't. And when you get around those people, you start to really understand um, the kind of people you've been calling friends who don't be doing this kind of stuff, who aren't healing. Who rather distract themselves from the pain and walk around with that trauma. I have already mentioned there's a lot of people walking around with unhealed pain, unhealed trauma. And you can see the difference when you start to heal yourself versus the people who don't care about it. And or you can peep out narcissists quite faster when you do. You'll start to be able to peep out the patterns. Straight up. You start to be able to peep out the patterns, sure. For 2000%. But it starts with the acceptance of who they are and how they've been, and also going through the pain, going through that and growing. You know, again, if there was a perfect way to do this, I would already be putting that in videos, saying that straight up. And plus, I've mentioned this in videos too, like your health and wellness plays a part in your journey too, as well, and how you also respond to people. Because being in a reactionary state also correlates with, your health and wellness. To be honest with you, it's a lot of bad information that people eat when it comes to food, and it directly ties down to your mood and how you react to dealing with narcissists and making yourself feel even worse. That was something else that I wish I had took serious when I was there in that mental fog. That's why these days I take it serious now, and I talk about it as much as I can so people can get the awareness about, like, your health and wellness plays a huge part in how you rebuild yourself. For real, for real. You ain't gotta be on the stage, physique competitor, like that. But taking your health and wellness to a certain level and having a certain level of fitness about yourself for your mind, everything, game changer. Walking, as something as simple as walking, working out at home, something as simple as that. hmm Something as simple as that can take your mind to a whole different stratosphere when it comes to how you feel about yourself and how you see yourself every single day. Straight up. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. For sure, for sure. hmm Yeah, when I wish I had taken my journey with fitness a little bit more serious earlier, but realizing now, like, I don't even know how I would even have gotten through, certain mental barriers if I wasn't, like, working on your body. Because when you work on your body, you directly work on your mind too as well. That's another thing too about why I'm even preaching it to begin with. Working on your bodies directly works on your mind. You're directly building that mental resilience. You're directly building those building blocks up, directly straight to it. Downloading strength, mental strength, straight up. hmm But it's just a again, it's simple with the concept of what you need to do in order for you to heal. It's very simple. You just start and do something and find a pillar, and then you stay on that pillar for as long as you need to until you branch off and find other things. Facts. Sure does. Facts. Facts. It takes your brain off ruminating too. See, the ruminating thing is so, it's fascinating to me, but it's also, like, annoying at the same time. It's fascinating because we'll keep this narrative about how it all went down for so much and so long. Oh no, you good. You'll keep this narrative for so long, and it's so tough, and you'll try to outthink the narrative that had already happened. And then the part that's annoying about it is that it don't go away with unless you replace it with something. The thing is, well, for me, I replaced it with focusing on working out. I got to be able to pay attention to this. Yes, 2000%. You know what I'm saying? It's a way. It for me. It was a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the gym thinking about this, and as I'm thinking about it in the gym, my brain started to transform. It started to, like, it was a shit. It started to be like, I'm in here putting these reps in. Mm-hmm. I learned how to have acceptance. I regained free and healing with my terms. I hope y'all can see these chats. Let me not read this out loud because I don't know if y'all can just see it yourself. I really do. Yeah, you can't wrap your mind around what they did. because they can't wrap their mind around about what happened yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't even wrap your mind. They can't even wrap their mind around that. This is the emphasis on why it's important to accept. I wish I had just accepted. That's why I said the rumination is so rough, because you haven't accepted it yet. In my brain, the acceptance happened when I started to understand how much stronger I'm choosing to do something like this for myself versus what I would never do when I was dealing with narcissists. You know what I'm saying? Hmm. Yeah, you gotta be able to put that energy. Yeah, 2,000% taking care of yourself. You gotta be able to put that redirect that energy into you. It looks weird and it feels unpleasant because peace isn't normal to you. You know what I'm saying? It may feel awkward. It may feel doing too much, but you got to do this for yourself because you've been doing so much for the narcissist for so long. You got to do this for yourself. That's why I tell any client that I got, exercise. Exercise is going to put you past mountains of having to deal with rumination and stuff like that. Yeah. And see, this is another thing that I was doing. I was even in the gym listening to audiobooks and YouTube videos as I'm working out. I don't like. I still listen to music. Don't get me wrong. I still listen to my R&B. I gotta have my R&B now. But I was listening to just self development type content, working out. Like I was, and I did it for like years. I still do it now, but I switch back and forth. But at the same time, like when you're putting this in your mind, as you putting yourself in this environment to grow and prosper, like again, you have that mental shift. You know what I'm saying? Right. You know what I'm saying? You have that mental shift. You have that shift in your mindset that you're capable and that you're building. That positivity is everything. And again, you're self-validating you're giving yourself that self-validation. And that's the validation of self is so important, that you've told yourself that you've done the things you said that you're going to do. That's so important to understand that with you every single day. It's straight up, it's so vital to have that understanding with you. And that's what bothers the narcissist, because the narcissist, most of them procrastinate. They don't even like seeing that kind of value on you, especially if you're not going to give that value to them, if it's not transferable in some sense. Yeah, 2,000%. We're gonna have to make a I use Spotify. We're gonna have to make a Spotify collaboration, y'all, for a playlist. Cause you can do that. You can put people on there, and everybody can add their songs on there to the workouts. We're gonna have to do something like that. It'd be tight. Cause I be seeing that, I'm like, damn, that's tight, man. You can start a jam. But no, you're nah. It's the 90 days challenge. It's something. The last challenge I did, what was that? It was a CrossFit, the Murph. That's what my last name is, Murph, but it's called the Murph. It was when I was in CrossFit. It was when I was in the Army, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it. But mostly, I just keep my workouts just quite simple. I keep my lifts simple. I do body weight and I do weights. I don't do Olympic lifting, the snatches and all that. I don't be doing all that. I keep my stuff very, very simple, and I keep my reps low, lift heavy, eat my protein, walk for cardio. But walking is so underrated, y'all. Ooh, let me get into this walking. Now that I said this, I know, right? Go Army. Who? Ha! My battle. Oh, somebody else commented. I meant to say that was my battle buddy, but no, your walking is underrated, y'all. It's so powerful, especially when you're like I'll just go for a walk for like maybe an hour or 2 hours or so and just listen to content like the content that I'm making. And listening to this and walking, I'm telling you, you burn so much fat too, because walking will directly burn fat. I don't know if people hip to the square on this, but I'm telling you right here on this live, walking burns fat directly. As long as you eating, relatively low throughout the day and over time, and you walk and you listen to these audios and YouTube videos and all this, I'm telling you, transform. And you putting in that work on yourself every single day, transform. Night and day. Walking is underrated. It's like it's such a powerful mental and what I'm saying, physical ingredient recipe, if you want to rather, for your healing journey. I kid you not. I'm so serious. But I am about to end this live, y'all. I do want to start doing lives, like I said, once a week. So, no, facts, facts. Yeah, I am going to start doing lives once a week. I may start doing 2 videos a day because I want to start doing more mental work type videos while on top of like the videos I typically talk about with the recovery, narcissistic abuse, and all that stuff. So I might start doing it like that. I'll see, but just expect that kind of content for me